Double back with Kenty Mac.
So Chelsea, when we first discussed talking about a meet, I know Stanford was one that you were very excited to talk about. So we watched Cal at Stanford this week. Can you tell me why you were so excited to watch Stanford?
Yeah, so I think it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Cal and Stanford were competing against each other, and it came down to like a quarter of a tenth, and then there was a score change, and then Cal ended up winning. So I was really excited to watch them again this week. Although it wasn't as close, it was still a really good meet. And I've just really been enjoying watching Stanford's success because the past couple of years, it's been a struggle. And I think everyone has like a special place in their hearts for Stanford. So watching them be successful has been really fun.
Yeah, I agree. Also watching Tabitha Yem and the way she's been able to really inspire the program. And you're right, they've really been coming along. They had a big struggle last year. So to see them when they can actually train in the preseason and they can actually go to competitions,
Right.
It's exciting to see.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And Kyla Bryant, like, oh my gosh. She's been carrying Stanford on her back for like so many years. And now she has all of these great teammates that can help her out. So she's awesome. I love watching her.
It was so exciting to see her. So fifth year senior, Kyla Bryant, they only got to compete maybe 2 or 3 times last year. They didn't have a lot of competitions last year. And then she came right out the gate, stuck that double tuck off beam in her first meet this year. It was like, watch out for Stanford.
Yes, yes. And just like her aura, like you can just tell, like she means business this year.
So rotation 1, Stanford was on the vault. Cal was on the bars. Of course, this is where Cal really shines.
Mm-hmm.
Top to bottom, they have such a beautiful bars rotation. I thought Anna Lee was one of the standouts in bars this week. The way she floats that pack, and then her handstands go all the way right up to the top. She did the giant full, the double tuck, stuck it, and got the bear head.
I love the bear head. Like I'm wondering, like,
I love the bear head.
Are they gonna travel like everywhere with that big head?
It must be for road meets too, because they took it to Stanford. So Diana, you said
a seat on the plane just for the bear head.
Does the bear head get economy plus, or is the bear head in the back? Diana, you said you weren't sure you loved the bear head.
Yeah, I'm not. It looks a little peculiar. And even when you watch the girls like put the bear head on their head, they really don't want to do that. You can tell. It's like, is there something else? Okay, I gotta wear the bear head. Yeah, so I actually would bet we don't see the bear head next year. I think they choose something else.
It may morph into something else. Yeah.
I think less bear-heady.
I think I saw later in the meet, Maya Lauzon stuck a dismount and got some stick shades.
There
so I think they have the head and the shades so that they can choose what they're comfortable participating in.
Yeah, I bet the bear head didn't make it next year.
Did anyone else stand out to you guys on the uneven bars for Cal?
I would say Maya Bordas, because she's the defending national champion. Like the way that she swings bars is so aggressive. You know, her Jaeger is so high. She's always like the perfect distance from the bar. And then she goes straight into her overshoot. And like then that has like so much air too. So I just love watching her on bars.
I agree. There's everyone else's Jaeger, and then there's Maya's Jaeger. It's so high.
Yes, I want to see it in person. So hopefully I get to see that.
So over on vault, of course, Kyla Bryant, star of the meet, basically. That Yurchenko full was so flared. I think her movements are very quick too. She's quick and precise. She just stuck it and saluted. 9925, which they said was her career high.
Yeah.
So outstanding.
Yeah, but you can't forget about the celebration afterwards. Like that's really right. That you like for me, she does what she does great, but I like to watch her afterwards. She celebrates like no one else. And it's her own little party, right? She didn't even care who's around her doing it. She's just like, I did this again.
Yeah.
Kyla's
Her
party.
confidence is unmatched.
Exactly.
So really, I think that this team stayed pretty close on most of the events. Bars was really one of the differentiating factors. I think because Cal is so outstanding on the bars, they grew a lead there that it was hard for Stanford to come back from. But it was fun throughout the rest of the meet to see that Stanford stayed really close to them on every other event.
Definitely.
So then moving into rotation 2, they did that interview with Andy Lee where she said their goal is to make Final Four this year. So I thought that was fun to hear that they made nationals last year. They had that challenge where they had to leave the floor and then come back. They're gunning for Final Four this year. So that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. And I think they can do it, honestly.
You think?
I think they're in like their own little part of the country and they're just like chugging along every weekend. So I hope to see them in the Final Four.
Well, there's two different things. Hoping to see them and thinking they will be are two different things. Which are you saying?
I think they can do it.
Okay.
I have confidence in Cal, and I think we're still in the beginning stages of the season. So when they have a little bit more confidence, maybe some of these injuries that they have, they can rest up and be healed, and they will be in the Final Four. That's what I'm saying.
So Kenty, it's important to know that Cal has always been Chelsea's kind of, you can do it team. I think I can always, like from Tony Ann to like, that's been her quiet, yes, you can team. It's like my son and the Wizards, like one day you will, Wizards, do something in basketball. So Cal's always been that for Chelsea. So that's why I kind of asked her that question.
Tony Ann's from the area, right? She's from the Maryland area.
She and Chelsea used to compete against each other.
Yes.
I would say that loosely. I used to watch her really compete.
When you guys would compete together,
we would be in the same meet. How about that? She was just in a league of her own, but I used to love watching her.
Yeah,
I
she's
used to love
fantastic.
watching her family. Remember her family would come to the meets?
Yeah.
She'd like the whole family would come, and then and I enjoyed it because of course for Chelsea we'd have to quietly say, go Chelsea, go, go, go. We couldn't yell loudly. But Tony Ann's family would be like, yes, go. Yeah, it was always fun to watch.
They brought the celebration.
Absolutely. And she was amazing, right? Just like, when she went to Cal, she continued to be amazing. So I think that might have been part of, and it was funny when I was listening last night, they talked about, and you guys probably know it much better than I do, that Cal was a struggling team and almost didn't continue gymnastics. And then Tony Ann came and it kind of changed the whole trajectory of the team. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, they got a new coaching staff. They really turned the program around. They recruited Tony Ann, and that was what really changed it. They were very low in the rankings and on the chopping block for the program.
Yeah, I had no idea at all, which now I really get why Chelsea's like, come on, Cal.
It's good to root for an underdog, right?
Absolutely. So, and I agree. I mean, I would love for them to do well. I just don't know if I think they will. I mean, you look at the competition, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, all these, former Olympians, these elite athletes, which at some point there's a fairness to all of that, I really think, but when you look at UCLA or you look at Florida, Utah, right? Just those three.
Michigan.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I think all three of those scored 10s last night. So Utah
Yeah.
Grace got a 10 on bars.
Jordan.
Michigan got the 3 10s on vault, 2 10s on vault, and a 10 on 3 10s on. And then Jordan on floor.
And then Jordan. So I think we can say go Cal, but I think we have to understand that competition.
I forgot about that.
Well, here's the thing too, and Chelcie, I would love your perspective on this. I tend to forget every year because I guess it's like Groundhog Day for me. Gymnastics is back and I'm excited. It takes the first 4 or 5 meets for some of these teams to get things worked out. You'll see some struggles early with either entire rotations or individual athletes that by the 4th or 5th meet, they're hitting 9 9s every one. So that's the thing that I think I'm kind of still figuring out where everybody stands. Some of these may have all the Olympians coming in, but they haven't gotten the lineups pulled together yet. Whereas somebody like Cal, their lineups are looking solid from top to bottom. They don't necessarily have the flashy stars that everybody else has, but they've got those lineups pulled together early.
Yeah. And I think coaches really plan to peak at the right time, because you don't want to start in January and have these lineups nailed, and then come April, everyone's all banged up, and then you can't even compete with the best of them. So I think it's definitely planned that way on the coach's part, but also as a gymnast, it's like riding a bike again. You got to get used to competition. You have to get used to competing week after week. But once April comes around, you're kind of just like in cruise control. Like you go up, you do your routine, and you're like, oh, that was really good. But you're not even thinking about it at that point because you're just so used to competing.
Right. And I think that way you can probably focus on all the little things toward the end of the season. At the beginning, I want to hit the routine. End of the season, I want to make sure I'm on my highest toe. I want to make sure my hand is in the right spot.
Right. I can add a little bit of flair this time.
I think also for folks like Cal, they just don't have the depth of athletes. I think I heard KJ in Oklahoma, they have 26 people on the team. So that means I got lots of people to choose from. And I think I also, if I remember correctly, they don't know, even in warm-ups, who's going to be selected, that she chooses after warm-up because she's got that much depth, right? And I think for teams like Cal that don't have 26 athletes, like, this is my crew. This is the crew I'm going with, right? This is the crew that's going to take me all the way to the end. So it's just, I think it's a little different options available.
That's interesting, because when Cal moved to vault in the second rotation, they mentioned Milan Klausi was out last night. They said it was probably just under the weather and she'll be back next week. But they did have to do a little bit of rearrangement. Maya Lauzon went on in vault through a very pretty 1.5 with 2 bounding steps forward. So she just hasn't found her place with that vault yet, but it looks very nice. There's a lot of potential there for her.
Absolutely. I also want to give a shout out to Nevaeh. I feel like she's kind of like a quiet star of Cal, but she's just so consistent, and she's in all around every weekend and always hits. And it's like 9-9 plus or 9-8 plus every time.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy watching her too. She has a great presence on all of her events.
She had a good one last night. I had watched Cal a few weeks ago, and Nevaeh had an okay night. Again, she was 9-9 everywhere, but nothing really stood out. I thought she had a little bit of glitter last night. Like, she really did a nice job. She did a great job on her 1.5. There was a little bit of leg form and a small hop forward, but she knew where she was and she landed it upright. It was a very strong vault. She got a 9.875 on her 1.5 last night.
Wow. Awesome.
Over on bars, I was very excited to see Stanford on bars. I hadn't seen this lineup for a while. Taylor Lawson is one of the ones who stood out to me. She's got such long legs and long arms. It makes those handstands and her Maloney so pretty, and stuck that dismount.
Yes, yes. She's one of those, because she's a fifth year, right? Too. And she, again, like Kyla, just knows her place in that Stanford program, and she's gonna hit her routine every time.
She's one of the ones they said who opted out last year. They mentioned that 5 of the Stanford athletes opted out, and they mentioned what a change that was when they came back to fall practice this year after not having competed last year. It was almost like starting over in a way. They had to really get all the way back. For Taylor specifically, the commentators mentioned she got married this year.
Yeah.
So she's finishing her academic career. She's sort of moving on in her personal life. And to see her have such a great, I just thought she looked great on all of her events. She seemed regal to me.
Yes, I was gonna say it's just a different presence, wasn't it?
So different to see when they come in as a freshman, and now to see what she's matured into. She did a beautiful job. I also thought Madison Brunette on the bars, she did that giant half right into the Delchev overshoot and then stuck her double layout dismount.
I know. And it's like I said before, I remember watching Stanford specifically on bars, just like it was a struggle the past couple of years. And to see them really come together as a team on bars, it just warms my heart.
They looked so good, so good. And then, of course, the 5th competitor had the unfortunate fall. She was really going for hitting that handstand totally cold on her giant full. But then Kyla came up. You thought, oh, Kyla can bring this home.
And she did.
Yes. It's like, I feel like she almost like thrives under that. Like, not that she wants the person to fall, but she loves that added pressure.
Like maybe the coach said, hey, fall off a little bit so Kyla can have a big one. Yeah, Kyla did so good. Again, very quick and precise. Her movements are so fast, but hit that landing and didn't move at all. She was so dynamic.
Yeah.
Has she, I mean, you all know this better than I. Has she always competed that way with that kind of that sass to it? Or is this a 5th year thing?
I feel like she's always been confident.
Okay.
But now it's like,
it's just another level.
Back up the confidence.
Now she owns it, right?
I see. Okay.
I think when I saw her dance on floor, that's what I thought. I mean, yes, she's an outstanding competitor who's always had great skill, but now she's kind of owns her queenliness, you know?
Okay. Got it. I love it.
So then moving on to rotation 3, this was the interview that they did with Tabitha Yem. And I thought one of the interesting things that she said was how she's trying to do all she can to prepare them for their next steps in life. That this isn't a sport where they're going to go on and compete in the pro leagues. This is a sport where she has to get them ready to compete. And she's also doing everything she can to prepare them for their lives past college.
Sure.
I love that. I feel like Tabitha, and I don't know her, but I feel like like the vibes that she has, and even you can see her when she's cheering for her athletes on floor, like she's doing the choreography with them. I feel like she just gives off good energy, and she's a great head coach.
Yeah, it's not just about the sport. You can see that. It's about the women, you know, the women in their lives. And I think that, because I don't know if you remember when you used to compete against Yale, right? That when you're going to these much more academic institutions, right, where it's really about the academics that are first and the athletics that are second, you can see the difference. You can see the difference in the coaches. You can see the difference in the athletes. You can see the difference in the fans. And I think, you know, I just have as a parent, I have a lot of appreciation for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think for a school like Stanford that's so difficult to get into, that is a choice that the athlete is making, prioritizing, E.B. Price. That's one thing she always talked about in her interviews, that she's prioritizing her career, her academics, her reaching her potential. Gymnastics was something that she happened to do and happened to be great at.
Right.
And for that to be something that you happen to be great at and be as good as her is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think there's an appreciation for that, right?
Yeah.
So moving into rotation 3, Stanford was on the beam. This was a chance to see a few people that I hadn't seen before too. Isabella Onyeshko competed, a Canadian Olympian, very smooth. She looked so calm and confident. She seemed like the perfect person to start the rotation. And then Taylor Lawson went up and stuck an Arabian.
I know. And did it like it was just a standing back tuck too. Like she just went up and did it and nailed it and then just kept moving through the routine.
She was preparing and I thought,
I did too.
If that's a back handspring layout, she's a little bit close to the end of the beam. I don't know what her routine is.
It's not time for the dismount yet. What's getting ready to happen?
And then she's nailed an Arabian.
Like nothing, too.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
That's where they talked about her getting married this summer when she was doing that routine. And then she got the stick when she stuck her dismount.
Which I think the stick is like the most appropriate stick item in NCAA gymnastics.
Versus the bare head.
Yes.
Versus the bare head.
That's so true.
Who were the other standouts for you guys on Stanford's beam?
Sue and Tan was a standout for me. Like you said about Taylor on bars and the long lines, she has that on balance beam. I think they said that she's working through a little bit of injuries, but I'm excited to see her on other events, hopefully later this season.
I agree with you. Her leg extension on those jumps, they just went on for days. She looks beautiful on the balance beam. And I think they said her procedures were wrist procedures. So that's where I kind of thought maybe beam is where she's most able to compete right now. Right. And then, like you said, hopefully she can add more events as she goes.
Yes.
So for me, it was about midnight at that point. So I kind of fell asleep. So I'll let you guys keep talking.
It was a late meet.
It was.
I felt pressure because I knew I was talking to you this morning. So I was like, I have to make my notes.
No pressure.
I have to watch everything.
I still fell asleep.
So then Kyla Bryant was, last up on the beam. And my note, I just find myself rooting for her. I think she's so compelling. I saw her over on the sidelines pumping her team up before the meet. I just wanted everything to be great. And it was. So her back handspring layout, her extension was so good and she landed it so high. And then she does that punch front that she stuck it cold. And then her double tuck overpowered it a little bit this week. I had to take sort of a lunge back. But everything she does is so impressive. It's done with such excellence. Absolutely.
And I think she also does the standing switch split, which that skill is so hard.
Yeah.
Especially not being able to walk into it. A standing switch split, like incredible. Good job, Kyla.
I think she does a beat jump and then the switch split, which kind of like sets it up like you're watching. It's amazing. She goes so high on that.
Yes.
So Cal was over on the floor. There were two routines that I thought particularly stood out to me. Maya Lauzon, she has interesting movements that go with her music. And when she does her front double twist, maybe you can tell me, she throws her arm up, like she sort of stylizes it. Her arms just aren't in front of her chest like most people when they twist. Her arm was sort of up when she went into her front double twist.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting technique. I know when I was learning front twisting, there was the option to have one arm up and one arm down and looking under your armpit, or you could do the arms to your chest. But she does that technique beautifully. And like you said, I think it's her back flexibility that really gets me. And she's definitely a standout. But for me, I think the highlight of the rotation was Andy Lee. Her floor routine is just so beautiful. Her choreography, and it makes me forget that she's doing a 2-pass floor routine, which I think is like another topic on its own. Mom has some feeling about 2-pass floor routine.
Yeah.
But when you do a 2-pass floor routine like Andy Lee, then I'm A-okay with it.
I think they mentioned, I just double checked, she hasn't gone under 9.9 this year for that floor routine.
Yeah.
There was one a couple of weeks ago that she was a little out of control on a couple of those passes, but you're right. Last night, it was all totally under control. And she has beautiful dance, the way she uses her arms and her hands. She makes pretty shapes on the floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love watching her.
Okay, so one thing that bothered me, and I would love to hear your opinion on this, commentator fellow kept saying the table.
Setting the tone for what Stanford star would do on the table. Kyla Bryant, a new career high 9.925.
And I thought, I don't think that's how you use that word in a sentence.
Well, I called a horse, so that's better, I guess. Right? Because it used to be the horse, right?
It did.
Back in the day. Okay.
That's right.
So,
But you're not a commentator, so I think it's okay for you to say that.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I do like to give commentators the benefit of the doubt because I know it's a lot harder than it seems. But yeah, there are some little like quirks where it's like, maybe just get the vocabulary correct. Like give gymnastics a little bit of justice. This is like
That's
an
right.
actual sport that people watch.
She scored it on the vault. That's interesting.
You can say the table. I think it's just like the article that you use. Like, just don't call it table.
Right. I think they refer to the new piece of equipment, which is much safer, and we're excited that they're vaulting on that now. They call that the vaulting table. But the rotation that they're in, the event that they're competing on, I think is the vault. So I would just imagine that you would say they scored this on the vault.
Okay.
He says the table.
Did he say the table or just table?
I think he said both.
I
Anyway,
can't remember. It was late.
Yeah.
I knew what he was
missed the
talking
whole
about.
thing.
Exactly.
I just thought it sounded funny. It's on the table.
Oh, that's
So-
funny.
Heading into rotation 4, they showed a really cute interview with Kyla Bryant, where she said 2 of her goals this year, she wants a 10 and she wants to go to nationals.
Oh, wow.
I thought, she's going to get both of those things. She's got to.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on. Let's
Let's
go,
hope.
Kyla.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's hope.
Absolutely. And
Go
like,
for it.
like I said, I feel like she's done so much for Stanford's program. Like she earned it. She deserves it. Let's celebrate her.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
So Cal heading into Beam, they've had a little bit of they've been playing with their lineups a little bit. I'm particularly aware of this because Madeline Williams is on my fantasy team. And some weeks she's not doing Beam and some weeks she's doing Beam. Well, she was on the Beam last night and she did an excellent job. She starts with a wolf double. Her back handspring layout was very pretty. And then she does the cat leap, side aerial, tuck full, dismount, totally stuck it. I don't know if they ran up and put the bear head on her or not, but maybe she got the glasses. Who else stood out to you on the balance beam for Cal?
That's a good question. I think, well, I love watching Milan on beam, but she was out. I also love watching Kiana George on beam, but she's also out this season. So I have to throw it to the anchor, Emmy. She's gone through so much, but you would have never have known on that beam routine. She was confident. She was pretty. It looked like she was enjoying it. But I think watching the team celebration after she finished her dismount was just awesome.
Yeah, the commentators talked about that she had lost her dad in the plane crash, and I didn't know it had happened that close to season. It seems like that was literally, she flew back for final practices and then they started their season. And I was so glad that you suggested this meet, because this was a meet full of really heartwarming storylines, right? Stanford coming back after the crazy season they had last year, not being able to practice, having such a good start to their season. And with Cal and the things that their program have gone through, and now the whole team just really supporting Emmy in such a tough time for her, I agree, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah. And I love watching meets like this, where it's like, you don't really care how it ends. You just want everyone to do great gymnastics. You're rooting for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. These two teams, you want to root for them.
Yeah.
One other routine that I do love to watch on the beam, Andy Lee. She gets to show off that pretty flexibility and her interesting shapes and positions. And she does that gainer tuck full off the end. That's like time and gravity stop, and she flies through the air and totally stuck it.
Yes. She makes that dismount look so easy, but I promise you, it is so difficult. You're running forwards, flipping backwards, and doing a full twist. It's a lot going on, and she sticks it.
No, Chelsea, you've always said that, because to me, it looks like those dismounts look easy. But you said, picture yourself running as fast as you can off the beam and flipping backwards and twisting at the same time.
Yeah.
It kind of defies the imagination to run off a cliff.
Yeah.
Right, because if you just break it down, it's either a back pike or a back tucked full, which in and of itself isn't terribly difficult, but it's the fact that you're changing the direction of your momentum and you're flying past the end of the beam where you don't want to hit your head. And
Yes. And I've seen that happen before, because one of my teammates was like, oh yeah, I could do this dismount. She ended up coming back on the beam. So again, it is not that easy.
Like that wasn't her dismount. She was just playing around.
No, yeah, and she didn't do it again. So she moved on from that.
Yes, I can see how that would happen.
She moved on.
Never mind.
Psych.
And this is what I miss on the routine podcast, Chelsea.
I know.
Did you do these little stories that you don't know are going to end that way?
Oh, good. So then Stanford over on the floor. One of the standouts for me in the third position, because I had noted her when she was a JO athlete, and I was excited to see where she ended up going to college, was Adela Stone-Cipher. They said that she had torn her ACL and was now coming back, and this is only her second NCAA routine. I thought she did a really nice job. She's got very precise dance movements. She did the back half to Rudy, which is sort of an interesting combination. But it was another really nice, I thought, story to get to see this athlete who's gone through a lot, and now she's back and she looks so joyful to be competing in her floor exercise.
Absolutely. That's who I was actually going to mention too. She was so confident, and like you said, you would have never have known that was only her second competitive routine. But her choreography was sharp. She presented well. So I think she's going to be a mainstay in the lineup.
And then, of course, it was fun to see Taylor Lawson wrap it up. She in the fifth spot. I mean, that 1.5 through to double tuck, that's a pass you don't get to see very often. And I thought she did it very well. The commentator at the end said that routine was tailor-made. Gotta appreciate a good pun at midnight.
Yeah.
Was he the same guy that called it a table?
Gotta give him his props when he turned around with a good one. And then, of course, Kyla Bryant wrapped it all up at the end of the night. Very jazzy, sort of bluesy with trumpets and that music. It was really fun to hear her dancing. She owned it. They didn't say her full end was kind of open tucked, but it looked open to me. I don't think she grabbed her knees on that. So impressive.
I know. And then ending with a open double tuck. It's like you said, she just has like her so much bounce in everything she does, and she's able to control it. Because a lot of times when you have like that much power, I know I struggled with it. It's hard to control all of that power, but she's got everything under control.
And again, the celebration at the end, her own personal celebration, and then the whole team joined in the celebration. I think she grabbed the leotard and was showing the S. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And it said it was their first time competing in Maples Pavilion in 23 months. So I thought that was another nice storyline to finally have a crowd back, to hear that feedback. I mean, I would love to hear from your perspective, obviously competing when nobody's cheering versus finally having your fans back in the stands. They have to make a difference in your competition.
Absolutely. You just feed off of the energy. And I know people always say, like, I really love when people are cheering loud for me, but it's true. Especially you're in that last pass of that floor routine, you're like gasping for air and you hear people cheering your name. And you're like, okay, I can do it. I can do it. So the fans really do make a difference.
Awesome. Who were your standouts from each team in this event? Who did you sort of leave thinking about? And maybe we'll start with you, Dianna.
So the 2 events before I fell asleep. I'd go with Kyla, right? I think, and I've been watching her even before this, the meet that happened last night. But I just think she's like, it doesn't actually kind of, I don't think she cares kind of where she's at. She's just doing her thing. Yeah. She's a 5th-year senior, and I'm just going to rock this, and come what may, I'm going to do it. And so I think for me, it's got to be her.
Yeah. I think she said in that interview too, the other thing she's looking forward to doing this season is just enjoying it. Yeah. So I think that speaks to what you just said. She's out there soaking up every minute of it.
Yes, exactly. That appreciation for her abilities, her teammates. This is kind of her swan song. I'm doing it now.
How about you, Chelcie? Who stood out to you from the meet?
I would have to say Andy Lee. I think she's really cementing herself as a leader for Cal. Once Milan graduates at the end of this year, I think Andy is going to be, that next person that Cal can depend on. So I love watching her, especially seeing her growth from last year to this year. You can tell that she's confident in herself. She knows what she's doing, and the team can count on her.
Yeah, another one that stood out to me from Stanford, just to see Taylor Lawson and the competitor that she's become and the confidence that she has, that's so joyful to watch. Mm-hmm. And then kind of the freshman breakout for me, Maya Lauzon, who I have to keep reminding myself, give him 4 or 5 meets. Let him start getting into the rhythm. Yeah. She is going to be a really great competitor. She looks good on all of her events. She's got great skills, good style, and she's coming into her own on this team.
Absolutely. And I know that a lot of times commentators say, oh, she's only a freshman. But as someone who competed in college in freshman year, you really don't understand what's going on. Like, you're just there and you're hoping you make the team proud, you make your coaches proud. So once you get that freshman year under your belt, the next 3 years, you understand college gymnastics.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, so what do you guys think for the rest of the season? Do you guys continue to watch meets every weekend? Are there things that you guys watch together?
Since we've been, with COVID, we keep separate, unless we quarantine. And it's kind of fun not watching it together because we're texting the whole meets, and so that's a lot of fun. Although I do think Chelcie bought tickets for nationals, so I don't know whether that will happen or not, but we do have tickets for nationals.
We do.
Which, assuming that we go, it would be amazing.
I've been thinking about going to nationals. I have a cousin that lives very close, so that gives me another reason to want to go to nationals so I can see you guys in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Buy the tickets now. Buy the tickets. We can always not use them.
That's right.
Buy the tickets.
Yeah.
Thank you for that advice. That's mom advice right there.
It is.
Priceless.
I'm always good for those, Kenty.
Well, how can people reach you if they want to share their feelings on Andy Lee's choreography or Kyla Bryant's celebration after beam? How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah,
Chelcie, I leave that to you.
So our website is theroutinepodcast.com. You can listen to all of our episodes. It's probably, we started in 2017, but although the content is a little bit old, I feel like there's still some gym episodes.
There's some nuggets in there.
Yeah. And I feel like, yes, we have a gymnastics podcast, but our podcast is so much more than gymnastics. It's really just mom and I and our lives, which can be comical sometimes. But you can also follow us on Twitter at Routine Podcast. And then you can also email us at info@theroutinepodcast.com.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I find such joy in going back and listening to your podcasts, and I can give a rousing endorsement. It doesn't matter if it's about a meet that was 2 years ago. It's fun to hear the mother-daughter interaction, to hear the history that you guys have with college gymnastics and going through it and now observing it. And I'm really glad you guys joined me today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for inviting us. Thank you for allowing us to be able to talk gymnastics and talk with each other and talking to you. So thank you so much, and best of luck on your new podcast.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is amazing.
Thank you. Question: would you be willing to come on the podcast again down the line?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We'll see you at nationals.
See you at nationals.
Take care.
Double back with Kenty Mac.